Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. This is Kincaid from 309, and in this one we're going to talk about how to choose a second march for your account. A few things I want to talk about before we get into this. If you're a low spender or even a mid spender, then I do not encourage you to build a second march from the get-go or from starting season 1. For example, you can see this is my second march. This is the march that I'm using currently, and I'm using the leftovers of skills on my account because I can afford the soul crystals to build the immortal stars. I can afford to build Hippolyta and Empress Wu, and I even get Cyrus basically for free, maybe, if you would like to say that. I got it from competing on King of the Hill. I ranked first 2 times in King of the Hill. This was the first time. This was the second time. I got 400 shards from King of the Hill. That is, of course, additional to the shards that you get each and every day from the stages. So if you cannot afford the soul crystals to invest in immortal stars, then do not start building a second march from starting season 1. Anyway, one more thing that you need to keep in mind is the immortal vulnerabilities that you can see here. You can see here there's some kind of unique vulnerabilities when it comes to IK elements. For example, you can see here the light, which is the holy march, can beat shadow, and the shadow can counter all the other basic elements. And when it comes to the basic elements, fire beats wind, wind beats lightning, lightning beats earth, and earth beats water, and finally water beats fire. However, this is not 100% accurate. Basically, what this means, or the vulnerabilities means, is that fire beats wind. That means that fire deals an additional 25% damage to the wind march, and so on. Wind deals an additional 25% to the lightning march, and it keeps going. And I can prove it in a second. I have a report here from Arena today, and you can see that the Shadow Dragon skill at level 10 deals 2 million damage, true damage. This is true damage, which means that it cannot be decreased by skills or cannot be decreased by immortal stats, either the magical defense or the physical defense. The true damage will be applied completely with a slight difference, maybe 1 or 2%, give or take. So the immortal that receives this damage will receive the damage as is. However, since shadow counters all the basic elements, whichever immortal will receive the skill will have an additional 25% damage, which means that the damage will be up to 2.5% or 2.5 million. In this scenario here, it was Alex that received the Dark Breath damage, and you can see that he received not 2 million damage, but almost 2.5 million damage, exactly 2.4 million damage in this scenario here. And even in this fight here, not sure which immortal, yeah, it was Hippolyta. You can see Hippolyta received 2.5 million damage from Melanthius. This was because the element advantage, which is 25% more damage. This applies to all the immortals damage, all the dragons damage. For example, if it was wind march against fire march, that means that the fire dragon will deal additional 25% damage. Not sure if I have a report on this, but let's just not waste time looking on reports. Anyway, right now I'm playing the Mixed March as my main march, and Mixed Marchers struggle a lot against lightning marches, and it's probably the best counter for it. That is, of course, if we're talking about same sized players. If I'm up against some player that is spending as much as I'm spending, his account is has as much power as I do, that means that if this player that is the same size as me is using a lightning march, I'll struggle a lot against him if he built the lightning march correctly. So the best choice that I have right now, you probably think that it was maybe wind march. However, wind marches are so hard to build since there is no dragon to get the crystals from, and you have to get the crystals from Arena. So it's kind of so expensive, and it takes a long time to build a wind dragon. This is why I decided to build a fire march. The reason for that is that fire is so strong against lightning because of the game mechanics. Fire has very high energy regain immortals such as Hippolyta and Empress Wu. Usually lightning is weak against magical damage, and Empress Wu deals a lot of magical damage. And of course there's the true damage that comes from the dragon. I know my dragon is not completely a dragon yet, but I'm working on it. And as I mentioned, you need to start using your second march, of course, starting maybe season 2, season 3, and it will help you a lot, maybe in Conquest as well. So this is what I decided on. So let's just talk about a different scenario where you're using fire as your main march. So you can see fire will struggle against water, and of course fire will struggle against earth marches as well, because earth is so strong against fire for game mechanics reasons. So the best choice if you're using fire as your main march is to build earth or mixed march as your second march. And the reason for that is that the skills kind of complement each other. You're not gonna use the same skills for fire and the same skills for mixed march. And you can see that none of these skills will be useful for fire march, maybe except for Oaken Guard and Fighting Master. However, none of the other skills can be even used for a fire march. This is why fire uses a completely different skills from the mixed. This is why it is so good to use both in one account. So this was if you're using fire as your main march. What if you're using wind as your main march? And I do not recommend it at all. And I explained in so many videos, but it is so hard to build a wind march in season 1 or even season 2. So do not do it. But let's just hypothetically speaking, you are using a wind march as your main. So you're struggling a lot against fire and you're struggling against water. There is of course game mechanics purposes. So the best choice is to build earth as the second march, because earth can beat fire and it can beat water. If you're using lightning as your main march, lightning can struggle against wind because of course of the 25% additional damage, the element advantage, and of course it will struggle against fire. So the best choice is to build earth, either earth or water, because water can beat fire and it can beat wind. And if you're using earth as your main march, then the best choice of course is to use fire, because it can beat lightning and it can beat wind. And if you're using water as your main march, then the best choice is to build lightning as your second march, because lightning can beat earth. But of course this is not gonna happen in season 1 or season 2, because it is so hard to build a decent second march, meanwhile focusing on your main march. But I'm talking about the long run, maybe in arena, maybe in Throne of the Supreme. These marches will be so useful in your account when you're running either in arena or Throne of the Supreme, because they can at least do some damage to other people's main marches, at least thanks to the element advantage. So this is what I think about building a second march. When it comes to the third march, I believe this is not something that you can do at all, at least until Conquest, if you are a mid spender or even a low spender. However, if you're a big spender, you can afford building 3 marches. You can unlock all kind of skills that you want from Tower of Knowledge. Then you'll need to watch maybe the upcoming video in the future. Maybe I'll talk about it one day. However, this will be all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and have a wonderful day.